Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth. It's good to have you. Please consider subscribing and turning on your post notification bell if you're a crafter or just enjoy crafting videos. My goal is to grow to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, that's 2022. So please help me to achieve my goal so that I can bring you more crafting videos. Today I'm going to be showing you how I create this embroidered snow globe quilted bauble. These make amazing gifts and are super adorable. So if you would like to see how I do this, stay tuned. Okay, so to create my embroidered snow globe quilted bauble, a mouthful, you need these things that you have here. So you're going to need, obviously, you're going to need your polystyrene sphere. Okay, I got this from Amazon, I will link it. This one's good because there is a middle line and there is an indication of where the top is and where the bottom is as well, which is quite good. So that's the bottom, and then you have this middle line, which is very helpful as well. Okay, so you need that. This is 7.6 centimeters in diameter. So that's the size that I'm using today. You also saw me embroider earlier my actual images, well, my little sentiment that I'm going to be using as the snow globe part of my bauble. You're going to need a tape measure, some pins. You need at least 100 of these pins, and these pins you can get from Amazon. They're just you know, tailor's pins or seamstress pins. I've got a bunch of ribbon here that I'm going to be using for my my hanging of my bauble. And then I have here a piece of fabric. Now this fabric measures 7.6 by 5.1. Okay, and you're going to need several of these. Also, I have a band which is going to hide up all my messy bits. Okay, and this band is 26 centimeters long by 6.3 centimeters. Okay, so it's 6.3 by 26 centimeters long. And what I've done there is I folded it over. Okay, so I folded it over like that. So it's just folded over to give me a kind of a nice band around there. You can decide how thick you want your band. And what else do you need? Okay, so you're going to need some scissors, and also you're going to need a pen, which we're going to be using to mark around our sphere. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side for a minute. I've got this thin piece of paper which we're going to be using to do the segments on this sphere. So you need a really thin piece of paper like this, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. I already have my fabric that I'm going to be using for my design already cut out. I have 8 of this color. I also have 8 of this. I have 16 of the red, and I also have 16 of the blue. I have folded down about a centimeter, okay, and then you fold it again. And what I've done is I've pressed it with an iron just for ease and to make things a lot faster. So I'm just going to show you now how to prepare your sphere. Okay, so to prepare your sphere, you need to look for this top bit here where it's like a circle, and you need to look for the one at the bottom also, okay, which is right there. The first thing I'm going to do is take this piece of paper and I'm going to pin it alongside, let me turn this down, you can see. Okay, I'm going to pin it along this line here. So that's what I'm doing, I'm just pinning it around. I'm using this pin this time. So I'm just going to pin that in, like so. And then I'm going to pull it taut all the way around, like that. And when I get to the end, I'm going to pin it again, just to keep it still, like that. And then I'm going to mark it where it ends. So I've marked it just there, where it ends. And then now I'm going to cut it. So I can take my pins off. And then I can draw a line all the way to the top, like that, and then I'm going to cut it off. Okay, so now I have the right size to go around my sphere. So what you're going to do is, this sphere is going to have 8 segments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over. A little bit fiddly, but fold it over in half, like that. And then fold it over again. And then fold it over again. Give it a good press. Now when you open it out, you have your segments. Okay, so you have all your segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm just going to mark that with a pen. Okay, now we're going to place it back onto the sphere. Okay, like that. Using our pins. Now with a pen, we're going to mark every one of those lines. We're going to transfer it onto the sphere. Marking the top and the bottom, just like that. Now you have your marks on the sphere. At the top, right there, we're going to put an X. Just like that. And we're also going to do it at the bottom. Okay, so we've got one at the top and one there also. Okay, now what you're going to do is you need a tape measure, and this is not for any sort of measuring, this is so that you can draw your lines. So what you want to do is you want to get a pin, and you want to pin right where that point is, right there. So where that X is, that's where you're going to place your measuring tape, and you're going to pin it like that. Then you're going to match up with one of those lines that you've drawn. So one of those measuring lines that you've drawn, like there. You're going to match it up to it really close, like that. And you can pin that. So I'm going to pin it there, like that. So you're pinning it at the top, and then you're going to pin it there where those lines are. Then you're going to take your measuring tape down to the bottom also, where the other X is, and you can pin that too. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line from the top down through the marks that you made and down to the bottom. Okay, and that is your first segment done. So that is your first segment done. So you're going to do it again. Okay, you're going to do it again for now this line. Put the pin in. Always take it off the top. Don't just spin, because it will go off and you won't have a good alignment. You put your pin back in again, and then line it up. Make sure it's nice and taut. You're going to line it up with those two little lines there, and pin, and then go all the way to the bottom as well, and then you can pin that in place too. And then draw your line. now you have your other segment. And you just keep doing that all the way around until you've drawn all the segments. Okay, so here it is. Looks like a Terry's chocolate orange. So we have all our 8 segments there, nice and even. Now I'm going to get my image. So I have my embroidered image here, which is personalized, and I'm going to try and pin that into the middle of my design here. So it's about there, that's the middle, and I need to put that straight into my center of my sphere. Like that. So I'm not going to push it in all the way, just some of the way. And then I'm going to smooth down my globe part. Okay, so I'm going to smooth it down. Making sure I stretch it out really well. Okay, and these are just temporary. I need to make sure it's straight. Okay, here's our other one. And then I need to smooth it this way as well. So I'm pressing down really hard, well, firmly, just to make sure that's nice and flat. We don't want it bulky in any way. So I've decided that I'm going to be starting my first layer at 2.7 centimeters from the middle point here, which is where I've got that needle right there. So I'm going to be measuring down 2.8 centimeters, but I will show you that when I come to that part. Now, how you set up your fabric. So my first layer is going to be this batch of fabric here. So I've already pressed this, which makes it a lot easier. So what you want to do is you want to place your needle in that center mark that you've made right there, and very close to the top, as close to the top as you can. So there's my needle. You can see there's barely any fabric at the top of my needle. So that's where you want to place your needle so that you can get a nice finish. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to measure 2.8 centimeters from my center needle down. And the good thing about me drawing the lines on rather than scoring it is that I can see through my fabric where my line is. Everything has to match up really nice and straight. so that it looks really lovely at the end. So from my center, okay, this is a bit fiddly, but from my center 2.8 centimeters down, and I'm going to stick that in. So 2.8 is just here. I might bring it down to 2.9 just to account for that fold or that extra little bit of fabric at the top of the needle. Okay, so by the time I put my needle in, it will be at 2.8. And then what you want to do is you want to fold your rectangle into a triangle. So you fold it into that middle crease that you created, and then fold the other side also. And what you want to do is you want, when you fold this part over, you want it to overlap just ever so slightly, just so that you are not using too many pins to hold it down. So match it really nicely in the middle and then fold that part down like so. So your needle shouldn't be showing at the top because it's got a nice coverage there. And you want to smooth it down and make sure the center line of your triangle now runs along with the line that you created for one of your segments. Okay, and then I'm going to put a pin in. Just like that. Okay, so you shouldn't be able to see the pin at the top, and your line should be nice and straight and running along so it matches up that segment right there. Okay, so to make things a lot faster, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin all of my fabric, and I will show you what I mean, just so that I can speed through this and you're not watching me pin the fabric. I'm just going to prepare my fabric just so that everything runs smoothly. So again, I'm doing the same thing where I am putting my needle through that crease right at the top there, so as close to the top of the fabric as I can. So I'm going to do that to every single one of my fabrics just so that it is easier and this video isn't super long. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have prepped all my pieces of fabric with the needles on them. So I'm just going to continue to build the design. So here's the one that I put in earlier. Now I need to go on the opposite side. So I need my tape measure, and I'm going to measure 2.9, again following that line. so I've done a lot of pulling and tugging to get this snow globe part as flat as I can onto the sphere. So now I'm going to start filling in the gaps of these triangles again, and it's just a repetition of the same thing. So measuring 2.9 from the center, so I'm just going to go around before I start to pin these edges down. I'm going to go around and finish off the other gaps. Okay, so the edges are all pinned. One thing you need to make sure you're doing is pushing the pins in properly when you are certain that's where you want the pins. Okay, I don't push it all the way down until I'm certain that's where I want them, and then I go in and really push those in. Same with the tops here, make sure they're nice and firm into the polystyrene. Okay, so now we're going to start building our second layer. Another thing to keep in mind is where the sphere is, there should be a line, the halfway line around the sphere. You want to make sure that you are pinning above that line if you can, so that we can do some trimming afterwards and get rid of all this bulk. So just be mindful of where you're putting your pins so that we can trim this raw edge off. So the next colour that I'm going to be using now is my reds. So I've decided to do it 6 millimeters away from the blue. So I'm going to measure 6 mil away from the tip of the blue here, and then I'm going to stick my pins in. Another important thing to remember is we did 4 first of all, and then we did 4 to fill in the gaps. I'm going to be going again, starting with the triangles that are most inner. So I'm going to be starting here rather than here. So I'm going to go this one, that one, that one, and that one. So the ones that are inside, the triangles that are inside. So you want to put it, I'm doing mine, so it's 6 mil from the top there. So let me just check if I'm happy with that kind of border. So have a look. Yeah, and we'll have this kind of thing going on. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to continue to pin around the ball, and I'm going to do that off camera, I think, because it's more of the same. So once I finish doing the inner parts, I'm going to go and do the outside parts. So it's more of just the same. So I'll be right back. So I have been pinning around with the red. What I wanted to say is you need to make sure you are pinning your second layer right in the middle of that first layer, so everything runs nice and parallel down and neat. So you need to make sure that everything is straight. You're using all the lines that you did before and the previous layer to get a nice straight line. Like that. Sorry if the angle's not that good. And you need to match up that middle with the lines that you've drawn underneath, so everything matches nicely, and you smooth it out so it's nice and flat, and then pin. If you're finding it tricky to push the pins in, you can just use the back of like a pencil or something to push that in, or a thimble if you have one, but I don't have one. The thing to remember about this is that you can always remove the pins if you're not happy with your placement. That's the good thing about using pins and not a more permanent way of applying your fabric. So for example, glue, you wouldn't be able to remove it. It would cause you a lot of problems. So the pins can be taken out and readjusted if needs be. So I'm just going to continue on with my my pattern. So I need to look at the inside pattern again. So you've got ones that are going in, and then you have the outer ones. So I'm going to do the ones that are in first. And I'm going to be using my dark blue. Again, I'm going to measure, I think for this one, I want to measure maybe I'd like to go with a centimetre down, maybe this time, or 1.1 centimeters, so that I can have a gap of 1 centimeter. So I'm just going to try that to see whether or not I like it. So again, I am placing my tape measure at the very point of my last layer, and then 1.1. Oh, I've picked up 2 there. Right, let's see. And like I said, if I don't like it, I can always remove it and try again. Okay, so we have this. I think I prefer that rather than having it right to the top. Obviously my center line is round about here, so only that much of my blue will be showing, but because it's going to be mirrored on the other side, it will actually look a lot bigger. So I do like that, so I'm going to continue with that, go in on the inside parts first and then the outer ones. So here is my dark blue third layer, and I've decided that I'm going to just pin it down. When I do the opposite side, then I can try and cut along the middle line. It just means that I'm not committing to anything, because if I cut it now and then decide it's too high, then there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to leave it now, and that's another good thing about the pins. If for any reason I'm unsure about certain things, I can always unpin it and start again. At these parts where it kind of, there's a gap there, that's going to be all covered, so everything's going to look really, really what's the word I'm looking for, it's going to look seamless basically when it's done. So now I'm going to do the outside layer with this light blue. Okay, so I have now completed the light blue layer, which is my third layer, and I've pinned it really nicely and neatly to the edge. Now I'm going to do my other side. I've also removed the pin from the top because I don't need it anymore. So we're going to do the same thing where I pin this other side, so this other part of my snow globe, to the other side of my bauble. The thing to remember is the orientation. So I have it going this way, so I also need to make sure, whoopsie daisies, I also need to make sure that this is also facing the right way as well. You don't want to put it upside down. Okay, so this side is now pinned. So I'm just going to cut this excess fabric off now. Okay, so I have cut around the bauble, and now I'm going to put a band to hide all of this raw edge here. So I have recut my band because the bulk of this fabric has made it a little bit wider. So you can always adjust the measurement of your band. So I'm just going to start pinning this. So I want my hanging part to be on the top. So I'm just going to match up my band to that space at the top, making sure it's nice and even. So that when I put my band around, I have an even amount of triangles up and down. So I'm just going to pin that into place. This part is quite finicky. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to pin it on both ends of the band, and as you continue a project like this where you're constantly pressing pins in, you might start to feel a little sore on your finger. So I would advise getting a thimble or using something to just push it in like that. So we have our band around our bauble, like that. And then I thought I would add an extra layer because I am just extra. So I thought I would add a band of red around the blue because I think that looks quite nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have the accent around it, and then to finish it off so I can have a hanging over it, I've got this other bit of ribbon that I've made a hanging part and a little bow for the top, and I'm just going to push that in the middle, and this will cover up the edge of the ribbon. So I'm just going to push that in the middle. It begins to get really hard to push things in, so like I said earlier, a thimble would be a good idea because you'll start to feel a bit sore on your fingers after a while. So just pushing this in and adjusting it before I actually do a final push down of my pin. And that's there, but I'm going to put another, I think I'm going to put another pin there. And you can embellish this with anything. You could embellish it with little beads or some fabric flowers, just to finish the top off. Like that. So that is the bauble done. So first Christmas and the name in the front. And here is another one I did off camera. This is got a floral pattern, and it's not a snow globe bauble. I just basically did the triangles from the middle, and then I embellished it with a little silver stud here and at the back, and for the top I created this flower ribbon, and I stuck in a bead in the top to finish it off. So that is how you can create some lovely baubles for Christmas, and personalize them and make them really unique, because sometimes you can't get baubles that are in your colorway for your theme of your tree. So this is just a nice way, and it's also a nice way to use up bits of fabric that you have left over. So there you go. Merry Christmas, everyone.
So if you found this video interesting or useful, please like and subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and click that post notification bell so you are notified when I upload a new video. And as always guys, don't have a good day, have an amazing day. Till next time, bye.